Fiction, the hero stereotype is one of the most expansive and most explored stereotypes inside of it. Even above the bad guys who technically have good motives, or just other cool characters like anti-heroes. And while there are many great heroes out there like Batman and Cyclops, my favorite type of heroes are the heroes that come from nothing, but all they have is their grit and determination to build themselves up, to then become one of the strongest by the end of the series. And inside of anime and manga, I think the two people that represent this the most are Deku and Koby. Once given their opportunities, these two took it and ran, and so as you can see by the title thumbnail, I'm going to be putting these two up against each other to see who'd win in a versus battle. So strap in, because I'm going to get real in depth for this video. But before I get into the video, if you guys enjoy content like this, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe, as I do post content like this regularly, and to be honest, it's a win-win. You guys show me love and support, and I give it back to you in the form of videos. Whether it's my hero, other anime, or just fiction in general, in due time I plan on covering it, so be there when I go there. But I feel like I've rambled on enough at this point. Why not just get straight into the video and see who's the stronger hero between Deku and Koby. Now before I do any power scaling, I gotta go over the rules so you guys know what I'm doing this by. Now don't worry, these rules won't be restrictive and they're going to be very simple to follow. For instance, the first rule is going to be me putting up the strongest that we've seen them inside of their respective stories. So for instance, there won't be no hypothetical end of series Koby in this video. The next rule is that they'll both be bloodlusted, and the third rule is going to be where the fight is going to be taking place, and it's going to take place on Marineford. And so with that being said, I feel like I've covered every rule that's going to be applied in this video. So why not I just jump straight into the scaling and see how strong these two kind-hearted heroes are. To begin the scaling section, I'm going to go over Deku. And for the Deku I'm going to be using for this video, it will be the one right before he lost his quirk, since, well, I think it's common knowledge that that was the strongest Deku. And so to begin the scaling, we're going to go over his AP. And he has a range of AP feats that we can get into, so why don't we just jump straight into it. And so for starters, we have characters like a heavily weakened All For One, being able to destroy a city and push All Might through many city buildings, blowing away half of the city with one blast. And it's only stopped by All Might himself, and we have people like Shoto and Darby being able to freeze cities over, but also changing the country's weather. We then have Bakugo being able to set off massive explosions like this, and we then have a heavily weakened All Might at the start of the series, literally changing the weather with one punch. And so even though these feats may seem kind of crazy, I'm just getting started, and as you can see, there's a common occurrence here where it's like they're able to blow away a city pretty casually. Now, as I said before, this is at the bare minimum, and most of these feats, aside from obviously the Shoto and Darby one, these feats can range from city level to mountain level, but these feats aren't even scraping what Deku can do. So why don't I take it up a gear and get into what he can really do. Inside of the Heroes Rising movie, which is canon, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch away an island storm. Now at the bare minimum, you can count this to around island level, but I mean, to be honest, Deku does something that's even more crazy inside the actual story, which you just can't deny. Now, it's when he punches All For One for the final time and he's able to change the weather around the world. Now, the reason we are led to believe this is because the weather forecaster, who did say before that there were storms brewing everywhere, did say that after the punch happened, everything was starting to clear up, meaning that that punch did actually change everything that was going on around the world. Now, I've seen a few scales for this, but I think the most concrete one is it being multi-continental plus. I have seen a few moon level and low planetary scales out there, but I want to keep it here since it's the most concrete one. Now, technically speaking, Deku wasn't even going all out here, and the reason I say that is because there was no Farjin, no gear shift, and no black whip involved, meaning he could have taken this a step further and done this on a larger scale. Now, I think that's where most of the moon level or low planetary stuff comes in, but I feel like multi-continental plus will suffice here. But moving on from his AP, we have his speed. Now, to a lot of people, speed inside of my hero is extremely contentious, when in my eyes, it's extremely easy to point out, and so I'm going to break it down for you guys in the easiest way possible. Inside of the war arc, we get to see Gran Torino blitz and air bullet radio waves from Shigaraki, which is insane. What's even crazier is the fact that Deku actually does come up against this attack again later, and he's able to react to it without danger sense. And another thing that we do need to add on is that he's able to put his black whip up in time. And so before I finally give you guys a scale on his speed, I'm gonna now bring in the Toru feat where she's actively able to react to light, and she even says it's her forte. Mind you, she is way weaker than Deku, and I'd even say Deku with no one for all should be stronger than Toru, meaning that when he's using his quirk, at a bare minimum, if you want to say that they're equal, Deku, when he's going all out in quotation marks, should be at least 100 times stronger than her, meaning he is MFTO plus easily. And so moving on from his speed, we have his durability, and due to how one for all works, his AP should be equal to his durability, meaning he should have at least multi-continental plus levels of durability. And this is without me including Black Whip, and I'm gonna get into that in the hack section, so I'll just move on to his endurance. And to be honest, having great endurance is one of his main gimmicks. I mean, Deku constantly breaks his bones throughout the series, and even during the final battle when he lost both of his arms, he was still willing to fight, meaning he can take a lot of punishment before going down. And the Dark Deku saga literally showcased how great his stamina is, as he's able to hunt down villains for weeks on end with just having a few stops here and there. So yes, his endurance is extremely great, and it does pair up extremely well with his great durability. So with that being said, why not just go into his battle IQ? And just like his endurance, his battle IQ is also one of his main gimmicks, as he literally has a whole notebook dedicated to studying quirks. He's also able to create plans on the fly while in battle, and just analyzing things in general is one of his strong suits, so I doubt there's any doubts in anybody's mind that he has a great battle IQ. So with that being said, I feel like I've covered everything I need to cover outside of his hacks, so why don't I jump into his hacks, and this is where he really gets crazy. Now, although One For All already gives Deku great strength, it also does give him the ability to use the quirks of the previous users, so how about I get into all of them? So first up, I'm going to go over the most iconic quirk out of all of them, and that's Black Whip. Now, Black Whip is great for many things. So pointing Deku's body while punching someone, he can also use it to restrain people and create chains and whatnot. He can even use it to swing from places like how Spider-Man uses webs to swing. And so yeah, overall it's just a great quirk that Deku is really good at using. Next up is Danger Sense, and in basically every fight that he's going to participate in ever, this is going to be one of the more pivotal quirks that he has at his disposal, since it's basically just his Spidey sense. If you have any ill intent towards him, he's going to notice and avoid your attack. Following up on this Danger Sense, we have Far-Jin, and aside from one quirk later, Far-Jin is very strong when combined with basically every other quirk, as it stores up kinetic energy, and when released it can be used to enhance things, but mainly it's used for Deku smashes or his flight, which is next, and his other quirk is called Float. Along with the ability to mimic Spider-Man through Danger Sense and Black Whip, Deku can also mirror Superman through Float, since it gives him the ability to fly. And so moving on from Float, I'm now going to get into Deku's most busted ability, and that's Gear Shift. Now, outside of many battles, Gear Shift is going to be a game changer for Midoriya, as it allows to bypass the laws of inertia, basically giving Deku the exact same power throughout the duration of his punch, meaning the more he goes up in his gears, the more he's able to turn it up, and essentially the laws of physics just don't apply to him. And if you somehow don't get that, I'm going to explain it to you guys in baboon terminology. His punch already hard, he punched harder because nothing is stopping him. He punched harder. And so with that being said, why don't I move into his final quirk, and that's Smoke Screen. And this quirk is definitely the weakest. I mean, in battle against people who can't sense or have X-ray vision, this would be pretty cool, but I mean, most of the people that are actually like competent inside the versus battles do have some sort of sensory abilities, so I doubt this quirk will ever be used, but I mean, it's pretty cool. And aside from the ability to pass on his quirk and obviously stockpile his quirk, there are no other quirks left inside the One For All, meaning I can now get into Koby and see how strong he is. And before I scale anything, I'm going to be stating which Koby I'm going to be using, and I think it should be pretty obvious that I'm going to be using the one post Hachinosu, as any Koby before that is weaker than this one, and we still haven't seen Koby since, and there is no prime Koby. So with that being said, why don't I jump straight into his AP? For a little bit I did actually have to think about how I was going to get to Koby's AP, until I was like, no wait, I got it. Now, how I found Koby's AP is pretty simple. Here's a picture of Thriller Bark next to Hachinosu, and for those that are wondering, Thriller Bark is actually island sized. As you saw, Hachinosu was able to completely dwarf an island, and Koby was able to punch away a massive hand that it spawned. Now, the reason I bring this up is to compare it to Zoro's feat on Dressrosa. Now, anybody with a brain knows that Pizarro is just straight up bigger than Pika. So all I need to do is just look at the reactions of people that saw Zoro do what he did to Pika and know how to scale Koby. When Don Sai saw Zoro perform this feat, he was in complete shock, and he's the exact same guy that Don Chinjiao believed could replicate his feat, and his feat was obviously splitting an ice continent. And so you know I'm getting at with this, and yes, that means that Koby does have continental levels of AP, which is pretty impressive. And so with that being said, why not move on to his speed. Now once you get past Return to Sabaody, most characters in the series will be massively faster than Light. And although Koby hasn't displayed the best speed feats, we can definitely put him in this range, since I doubt he's weaker than start of time skip Luffy. So I feel like massively faster than Light is extremely fair. To follow up on his speed, we have Koby's durability, and just like his AP, Koby should be able to take continental level attacks due to him being one of the main characters in One Piece that go purely off of his raw strength. As we all know, just like Garp, Koby doesn't have any special techniques that only up his AP or durability, so we can just say the exact same thing, since as I just said, it comes from his raw strength / haki. As to pair with his great durability, we have his endurance, and Koby can endure a lot. Not only does his training force him to endure a lot, as he literally breaks his hand damn near every day, we also got to see him fight without food, since well, on Hachinosu he was staying in a prison cell, and I doubt Blackbeard was feeding him anything good, and if he was, it's probably scraps. So we know that Koby can fight with basically no food in him, and he can also take a lot of damage. So yeah, Koby's endurance is extremely good. Moving past his endurance, we have his battle IQ, and Koby is a prodigy, as he was able to learn all the Rokushiki techniques and gain Haki extremely quickly, and he seems to be very perceptive. It's clear we haven't been able to see him utilize his battle IQ on full display yet, but with him being able to learn the Rokushiki techniques extremely quickly and then replicate one of his master's moves in Honesty Impact, and then obviously him being a captain inside the Marines and just him getting the Marine schooling, it's clear to say that he's definitely not lacking in this department at all. So with that being said, why not I get into his hacks, and that's a section we're able to breeze by. As I said in this battle IQ section, Koby has been able to master all the Rokushiki techniques, so why not I cover all of them. To begin, we have Geppo, and that allows Koby to walk on air or just fly. Then we have Tekai, that allows you to harden your body, even so hard to the point where people start to refer to it as iron. You have Tempest Kick, and it's literally a slicing attack that's created when you kick the air. Soru allows you to move at a really high speed, and if the person is way slower than you, they won't be able to perceive you while you're doing it. G-Gun is a lethal finger attack where the person can pierce you like a blade with their index finger. Paper Drawing allows Koby to leave an after image of himself behind. And then finally, the Rokugan allows you to create a huge shockwave that negates the person's durability, directly attacking their internal organs. And for Koby's last hacks, he has his Haki. Now, Koby has advanced Armament Haki and basic Observation Haki. Armament Haki is like an armor that allows you to shield yourself and attack. The version of Armament Haki that Koby does have is Emission Haki, and we can see him use it against Pizarro. Emission Haki allows you to attack things by hitting you, and you can obviously defend yourself while the thing's hitting you. And the last thing I want to cover in Koby's section is Observation Haki, and it's quite literally just like a Spidey sense. And so with that being said, I feel like I covered everything there is to cover with Koby, so why don't I just jump straight into the versus battle and see who the stronger hero is. Now theme wise and stylistically, this fight is going to go extremely hard, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The fight starts, they both rush at each other, they both realize that Deku is a little bit faster, but Koby can sort of keep up. But then when Deku lands that first punch, Koby's gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it now. Koby's not gonna be able to hang in there. He's gonna be able to take a few punches from Deku, and he's gonna try his hardest since it's Koby. But I just don't think he's going to stay in there for the long haul, and I think Deku's just going to run him down into the ground. Mainly because he has so many quirks that can just amp him, and Koby's just not going to be able to stay in there. Now I do believe that Koby can obviously do a few things, but I just believe that in damn near every stat, Deku just takes it. Like, I think in terms of battle IQ, Deku should be smarter. I do believe that in terms of endurance, Deku should be able to take more punishment. So the durability, well, we know that's equal to his AP, and we do know that Deku does have superior AP. And his speed, I do believe that his speed is greater than Koby's. So yeah, the fight is extremely interesting, but it's very one-sided in Deku's favor. So yeah, the winner of this fight is extremely clear cut, and it's Deku. Oh, and one last thing that I do want to add is the fact that Koby using the Honesty Impacts more than once isn't even confirmed. Like, we don't know if he can use it more than once. Obviously, there are theories out there that he can use it multiple times, but as of right now, we've only been able to see him use it once, and he seemed pretty injured after using it, meaning his continental scaling may actually be fugazi. But even if he's able to use it more than once, we know that it does hurt him, and by that, Deku is going to see that and be like, oh, I know how you feel. I know how I'm going to capitalize off of that. And that is like the worst thing that Koby wants to show Deku, since, well, Deku can relate to that, and so he knows what to do. And so, yeah, it just feels like this fight is a little bit out of Koby's range, and it's just not in his pay grade yet. I mean, give him like, I don't know, well, I mean, it's older, so give him like, I don't know, 3-4 years, 5 years. Maybe this fight will then be extremely interesting, but for now, I feel like Deku is just a little too smart. He's got all the other things that you need to beat Koby in a fight, especially with his quirks and whatnot, and yeah, Deku, as I said before, does take it. So why don't I just move into the wrap up of this video. And so yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I am thinking about making All Might versus Garp, since I know that's a fight that a lot of people do want to see. So yeah, if you guys want that video, comment down below, like, do all that, tell me you want to see it. If you want to see any more versus battles, I do have a lot of fire versus battles in the bag chilling. So if you guys want to see them, obviously say you want to see them, or just like if you want other videos that you want me to cover, I can cover them. And yeah, thank you guys for the support. I love you all, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.